Have you ever pondered the consequences of disobeying the Nazis during World War II? Today, we're going to take a look at the dark and disturbing topic of the most brutal punishments used by the Nazi regime during World War II. The Nazi regime was infamous for its cruelty and sadistic acts, and the punishments meted out to those who opposed them were particularly brutal. So buckle up as we take a journey through some of the harshest punishments used by the Nazis during the war. This video may contain graphic and disturbing content. Viewer discretion is advised. The Nazi regime during World War II was characterized by strict control and harsh punishments aimed at maintaining power and suppressing dissent. These punishments varied greatly in severity and included physical abuse such as beatings, torture, and imprisonment in concentration camps, as well as execution for more serious offenses. The purpose of these punishments was to intimidate and terrorize the population, serving as a clear warning to anyone who might consider resisting Nazi rule. The use of such extreme measures helped to solidify the Nazi regime's grip on the territories it occupied and ensured the opposition was swiftly and brutally suppressed. The consequences of dissent and resistance on the Nazi regime were severe and provided a stark reminder of the power of the Nazi state and its determination to maintain control at all costs. Physical abuse was one of the most savage forms of punishment implemented by the Nazis during World War II. This brutal tactic was reserved for those who were considered a threat to the Nazi regime, including resistance fighters, political dissidents, and other perceived enemies of the state. The Nazis employed physical abuse in an effort to extract information, but it was also used for psychological warfare. The aim was to not only inflict physical pain, but also to break the spirit of those who opposed the Nazi regime. The use of physical abuse was a way for the Nazis to show their power and dominance, as well as to intimidate others who might consider resisting their rule. The harsh and inhumane treatment suffered by those subjected to physical abuse under the Nazi regime serves as a sobering reminder of the terrible atrocities committed during the war. Imprisonment was another method used by the Nazis to control and punish those who posed a threat to their regime. Those who were deemed to be a danger to the state were arrested and taken to concentration camps, where they were subjected to inhumane conditions and treated as less than human. The concentration camps were designed to break the will of the prisoners and force them to comply with the Nazi regime. The living conditions were harsh, with inadequate food, clothing, and medical care, and prisoners were often subjected to forced labor and medical experiments. Many did not survive the brutal conditions of the camps, and those who did often suffered from physical and psychological scars for the rest of their lives. The concentration camps served as a warning to others who might consider resisting the Nazi regime, and their legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the horrors of war and totalitarian rule. Execution was another form of punishment used by the Nazis during World War II. Individuals who were deemed to have committed serious crimes against the state, such as resistance fighters, political dissidents, and Jews, were often executed by firing squad or gas chamber. The execution served as a deterrent to others and also helped to maintain control over the population through fear. In addition to the above punishments, the Nazis also implemented a system of fines and confiscations of property. Individuals who were deemed to have committed crimes against the state were often fined heavily, and their property was confiscated. This served as a deterrent to others and also helped to enrich the Nazi state. The Nazi regime also used public shaming as a form of punishment. Those who were deemed to have committed crimes against the state were often paraded through the streets in a show of disgrace, and their crimes were broadcast to the public through newspapers and other media. This served to humiliate the individual and make an example of them for others to see. Finally, the Nazis used forced labor as a form of punishment. Individuals who were deemed to be a threat to the state were often sent to work camps where they were forced to perform manual labor for long hours and under harsh conditions. This was often done in order to break the will of the prisoners and to make them more compliant with the demands of the state. In conclusion, the Nazi regime's use of a range of punishments during World War II was a brutal aspect of their reign of terror. From physical abuse and imprisonment through execution. The Nazis used these measures to maintain control over the territories they occupied and suppress dissent among their own citizens. The severity of these punishments served as a deterrent to those who might resist Nazi rule. As we remember this dark chapter in history, let us be reminded of the importance of standing up against tyranny and oppression in all its forms. The legacy of these brutal punishments is a warning to all of us to never let history repeat itself and to continue to fight for justice and equality. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to join us for more educational and informative videos.